We're on to New England. The Bengals are taking on the Patriots. Coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Exciting time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
Need your top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time?
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. He is Zim Hude. I am Ace Boogie. Zim, what's going on, bro?
Ain't nothing but that spin. I don't know if you're listening to the podcast, the timing of the spin on that, it was like as soon as the show went to the open, my spin was perfectly timed where I was directly in the camera. Like, wait till you see the playback on the spin. I'm telling y'all right now, it was on point. Let's spin into this win coming up this week. We got the Patriots. We took down Tommy last week, so now it's time for Bill to get some of this smoke. I'm feeling really good. I did some last-minute Christmas shopping. I know me. I'm going to go into a checkout line. I'm going to see some stupid stuff at CVS or something like that. I'm going to just keep on buying crap until it's over. It's getting cold outside. How you going? What's going on in your world?
The same, bro. Trying to get a lot of the presents for the fam. I got my wife's stuff out of the way. I know in Spaces, a lot of people are talking about procrastinating on Christmas gifts. Made me feel better about myself. So I got her stuff out the way, but still have some stuff to get for the kiddos. But I was actually grabbing some stuff last night and a little bit this morning. So getting ready for the holiday season, ready to enjoy that break, ready to watch the Bengals take care of business on Saturday. But coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the Pro Bowl. Certain Bengals made it, but certain Bengals didn't make it. So we'll talk about our Pro Bowl snubs for the Bengals. Then, as we talked about earlier on the show, we're on to New England. It's time to get our lick back against the Patriots with that preview coming up. The first matchup they've had since 2019. And then we'll talk about tonight's matchup where the Jaguars are taking on the Jets with the Bengals able to potentially clinch a playoff ticket tonight.
Hey, what's up, Bengals?
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike? Why y'all keep on cutting my man Mike off? Why y'all trying to cut my man? I feel like Mike
off. Hey, it's all good, but
I feel like he was in the Spaces and they just gave that man a nasty mute just for talking and saying, "Hey, my name is Mike."
That mute was nasty. It was nasty. But let's get into the Bengals Pro Bowlers. Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, as well as Joe Burrow all made it, but we do have some alternates as well that made it with them. When you look at it, I believe some of the alternates, Jesse Bates, you talk about some of the other guys. One of the guys missing from the list, though, of alternates, there was also Tyler Boyd, I believe. But one guy that was missing was T. Higgins, bro. T. Higgins, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, nowhere to be found. DJ Reader was on the list as well, didn't make the initial cut. What are your thoughts on the Pro Bowlers that did make the roster and the Pro Bowlers that did not make the roster?
I want to first say congrats to the guys that did make the Pro Bowl. I want to make sure that it's not easy. I know that people like to undervalue it. I know that the Pro Bowl has lost a lot of its, vigor or whatever, so to speak, or whatever. But shout out to Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson. That's 9191. I don't know if y'all caught that, but that's kind of crazy. But I do think that, it's kind of like how I look at the media in general now. I get more information directly, I think, from the sources of fans of teams or like direct from Twitter sources that like to highlight players or watching film and kind of doing my own assessment. And I kind of look at the Pro Bowl like in that regard too. It's like a third of the vote goes to voting. Tua was the number one, like most voted person, player. So it's like, I can't really even get mad at it. And then you see some, I'm going to tell you like the biggest snub to me was like CMC. I just think that for him to be like a top 3, top 4 running back in the National Football League, and then you get guys like Tony Pollard, like I guess a bit of the fan vote must have carried. I thought that was the biggest, craziest one in my opinion. But as it pertains to our team, I outlined this yesterday on the Wincinnati Pod Twitter. Make sure y'all follow that. But I was going in on the T. Higgins one. For him not to be an alternate is crazy. He pretty much has missed almost 4 games. Remember, he only played a quarter and a half of the Jets game. He only played not even a quarter of the Steelers game, and then he suited up for the Ravens game, and he suited up for what was the Browns game, and he didn't play in those. So it's damn near 4 games. Do y'all know that he's only like 80 yards or something off the 10th best wide receiver like in the league? In the league, he's only 120. Like if you factor in tight ends like Travis Kelce and stuff like that, he's only like 120 yards off the 10th highest like receiving yards threat period, right? And I said all that to say, it's so crazy how even in the comments I saw people. I don't know if y'all saw that Bears jersey swap earlier where the Bears fans were saying that they could get T. Higgins or something. But it's so crazy. This is where the Pro Bowl kind of matters to me. People don't view him as he's a top 10 wide receiver, but they'll go to their fantasy football draft and you don't let them go outside the 8, pick. You don't let them go out the top 10. And they'll say, well, y'all got Jamar Chase and stuff. But he did all this before Jamar Chase got there too. And he's young, crazy wide receiver, not just a high point guy. There are some guys that are like getting a lot of accolades in the league right now that are just high point football. No, he's a tremendous route runner. And I was highlighting a lot of those plays. He's beating Sauce Gardner. He's beating Xavier Howard. So you can't say competition. So those are the things that I think we know. You highlighted, you were talking about Logan Wilson and Pratt. It's funny you say that. Purple Person came into space yesterday, one that I think is pretty knowledgeable. He said something about the rosters, and then collectively we said, well, do y'all think y'all have better linebackers? He was like, hell yeah, like with a straight face. And in my mind, I'm like, Josh Bynes and Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen guy that you don't even like Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt have absolutely destroyed teams this year. Like destroyed. 17 tackles, 15 tackles, like back-to-back weeks. Is man, and Pratt playoff P initiated. But the one thing I do walk away from the thing is saying, okay, cool. Let everybody underestimate us. I get it. I understand. From a financial standpoint, people around the country aren't buying Jermaine Pratt jerseys, aren't really buying that many T. Higgins jerseys, if I'm being dead honest, right? So I get that part. But I think that's where a lot of that luck stuff happens, is the miseducation of fans. And that's where the Pro Bowl does kind of matter, because fans do pay attention to who was elected. And that's my only gripe with it.
Yeah, for me, I think, Uno making the Pro Bowl, that was major, because with him having the injury, you had to wonder if the respect factor was going to carry over. Obviously, that did. The Joe Burrow thing was wild, because Joe Burrow was like 6th in fan voting, which was crazy because Tua Mania was happening. And it's funny that Tua didn't end up making it, which showed that the peers that they have definitely respected him. Trey Hendrickson, I think, was a big one too, right? He's not having the same season sacks-wise as he had the season before. And then you kind of look over in the AFC, you talk about Myles Garrett, you talk about TJ Watt, Judon, all these guys made it. I think he also was able to make it because they kind of split some of those 3-4 edge rushers away from the 4-3 edge rushers. So that allowed guys like TJ Watt and the other guys like Judon to fall into those categories. So I thought that was impressive to see him there. The alternates, I forgot to mention a few. Von Bell was an alternate. Joe Mixon is an alternate. Ted Karras is an alternate. So a lot of those guys are alternates. Evan McPherson. But like you said, T. Higgins not being an alternate was crazy. Like the fact, I love our amigos, Tyler Boyd, all of those guys for sure. I'm not trying to turn anybody against each other, but the fact is that T. Higgins had, if not equal, better numbers than Tyler Boyd this season, and he's just not on the list at all. I thought that was crazy. T. Higgins is a top 10 receiver easily. I think the craziest part about that is people saw him step up without Jamar Chase being in and still did not give him the nod on that one. That was just ridiculous and insane. The other one with Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt, that is insanity. I mean, we just watched Logan Wilson get 17 and then 15 tackles in back-to-back games. Crazy interceptions. Jermaine Pratt, if you're going by PFF metrics, whatever you like to look at, he's been the number one graded linebacker in the AFC, but it's not on the Pro Bowl roster. But to be honest, I don't even care. We're not going to be playing in the Pro Bowl. I don't expect this team to be in the Pro Bowl. So they can have all of that. I remember when the Pro Bowl.
They don't actually even play it this year, right?
I don't know. I know they used to have it in
they canceled
Orlando. It was like two-hand touch. I don't even watch the Pro Bowl. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't even watch it.
Remember when we were kids, though, the Pro Bowl was a dope thing. Like, I remember when I collected cards.
Sean Taylor hitting that kicker or punter or whatever. That's what I remember from when guys actually used to play in the Pro Bowl.
I remember Lamar Jackson in the skills competition too. I know they hate that tape a lot. If y'all get a chance, go check that out online one day. But when I was a kid, though, the nostalgia with the Pro Bowl was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you really look forward to like the punt, pass, and kick and all these different things and activities. They go to Honolulu or whatever, and it just changed a lot. If I'm not mistaken, somebody could tell me though, but I think that it's not even like being played out this year. Like they're gonna do something totally different. But I just think that
they need to, like, honestly, it should be more of a all-star weekend. I think like the NBA, like they should have who's the fastest person in the NFL, 40-yard dash. They should have stuff like that. You shouldn't actually play a game
with the amount of money. Man, with the amount of money, you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna talk about like running. It's the same way like LeBron in a slam dunk contest, like running a 40. Potentially, you'll pull a hamstring or something like that, and then you're gonna have a whole bunch of like it's tough from a financial standpoint to make it make sense for players to go all out. That's the dilemma.
I mean, I think in those competitions it would just be all in fun. Like it wouldn't be like you gotta hit anybody or anything like that. But what they're currently doing is trash. Like I don't watch the Pro Bowl. I know a lot of people that were in Orlando when they were here that didn't even go to the Pro Bowl. Like, and I know a lot of the players, they used to do it for the free trip to Hawaii, but now you taking the free trip to Hawaii away from it. They got to figure that out. You know, Goodell, that's one of the differences I think between him and Adam Silver is always thinking about other ways to evolve certain things, and he's just really not even thinking about it. Yeah, I do remember when Tyler Eifert got injured in the Pro Bowl. That was not good for us. I'm pretty sure.
Happened. Like that's the other part of it too. Is like if just one person, like you running like a 40 or something like that, and one person get hurt, then it's gonna make all the players be like, "Nah, I'm good on that." Like I don't care what it is. Like that's the one. I do think all of that stuff will be crazy. Like even I don't know if y'all seen like Tyreek Hill been talking about racing against Usain Bolt, like just little silly stuff like that.
Like those dudes, I feel like we need to see that though. That's like from an entertainment value. If you do feel like you the fastest, like if you had a race between him and John Ross, like when they had their whole thing going on, let's see for it. Now, like you said, I agree. Some people might not sign up for it, but I think other dudes would sign up for it. You might get like some lesser known guys out there that
you get a Devin Duvernay or somebody to sign up for sure.
Yeah,
like
I think they actually, if I'm not mistaken, they did something similar to that, and it was Micah Parsons. It was like a running back and like a linebacker or edge rusher, and I feel like Micah Parsons won the race. It was something crazy, like it was like an actual race that happened between a couple of NFL players. But moving forward, let's talk about Trey Hendrickson. He's gonna play.
Can I say this real quick? I feel like that is the comment of the week. Hunter Morris, I don't have a prize for you, but that is definitely one. I'm big on comments, but that was one of the best comments that we've ever had on the Wincinnati pod. If you're listening on the podcast, this is why you need to go on the YouTube. That man just said John Ross pulled a hammy just thinking about that. But go ahead, bro.
Nah, I was gonna say moving forward, Trey Hendrickson will play versus the Patriots. He's gonna play through that broken wrist. For me, I was a little bit shocked that he's not playing with a club, but some people talked about a club might not matter. I mean, I remember taping wrists and stuff like that. Maybe he's going to just put some tape on it and wrap it up that way. But I think this is huge. I mean, Isaiah Wynn, in my opinion, is going to be barbecue chicken against Trey Hendrickson. He can take advantage of that offensive line. I know a lot of the talk has been, which we'll get to later, has been about the trenches and going against their defensive line, but their offensive line is pretty weak. So I think having Hendrickson back will be huge. I would love to see Hendrickson and Osai on the field at the same time. I don't know if it's going to be more of Ken Sample, but I just would love to see both of those two guys on the field at the same time. Then what are your thoughts about Hendrickson being back and playing?
Yeah, he talked about he wanted to be able to have some of his clinch techniques still go. That's why he didn't want to wear the club. He said he got several different opinions from different doctors, and they all confirmed that he couldn't hurt it any worse. They asked him, well, why are you playing right now? He said, well, I'm pretty much, they would do the same thing for me. So, I just don't want him to further hurt it. I think that long-term, I really want him to be fresh for the playoffs. And I really look at this game as one of them games where I don't think you necessarily have to have him. That's my only gripe with it, I guess. But if the man say he's ready to go to war, then let's suit it up. It is what it is. But Trey Hendrick, we said on the last show, remember, I was like, he's just a different type of person that I think plays a lot more. I know we see the physical side of it, but you can see him really tapping into his mental fortitude in a lot of these scenarios when he has the back issue, or even him just discovering that he broke his wrist. He's like, yeah, it feels a little funny. Yeah, I got a broken wrist. Like, he's a really locked in type of guy. So I don't really worry about it too much. I just want him to be as strong as possible for the playoff run. I think he should have tried the club, and if he didn't like it, take it off. That's just me personally. I think some of his moves, he could be like bow and then bow, smack somebody in the head with that joint. Like, I don't know, but he said he's gonna go. I don't know if y'all seen him. He was grabbing the dummy and everything like that. I mean, he was going in. He wasn't holding back. If anybody hadn't seen the video, I mean, he was grabbing the dummies and doing all types of stuff like he didn't have a broken wrist. So there's that.
For sure. So moving forward, we got some more injury updates outside of just Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals possibly are going to get some more guys back. You talk about Hayden Hurst possibly coming back in this one. And then when you look at the opposition side of things, they're going to be without a lot of guys. But for the Bengals, the only guys that are questionable are Hayden Hurst, Cam Taylor-Britt, J2 Fele, as well as Jalen Davis. Obviously, Sam Hubbard is going to be out for a few weeks, as it was reported earlier. But on the Patriots side of things, they're banged up. Jalen Mills is going to be out for them. Potentially another corner. The long snapper is out. So it's
big. Don't you gloss over that long snapper. Hey, that's a big deal. As we know, as Bengals, that's a big deal. You're starting long snapper for the first. So now a lot of different scenarios with the field goals and different things like that, it changes. Maybe they go for it on some 4th and 3s, 4th and 4s, because they don't feel confident kicking a field goal from 40-something yards away. That long snapper is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. But, they do have a lot of guys potentially out. Jack Jones is questionable. Ramon Stevenson is questionable. Damian Harris is questionable. So both of those running backs, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker is also out. I didn't mention that. So a lot of guys banged up in that secondary and in that receiver room and even in the backfield for those guys. So it'll be interesting to see how that plans out. It seems like the Bengals are getting a lot healthier, even though they've had some big injuries the past couple of weeks. Next, let's talk about the game plan. So we're going to start with.
Did you talk about Stevenson, the running back, being questionable too with the ankle injury?
It had him in there as well.
The only guy in their secondary that's a starter that will be available is Marcus Jones for this game. Outside of that, the rest of their secondary is all backup guys at this point. J2 Fele is a guy to keep an eye on too. Because of the illness that he had earlier. I didn't see that cleared up. I don't know if there was an update with that today, but he was out on Thursday because of an illness. Cam Taylor-Britt's shoulder was just a stinger, they're saying, but it is the same shoulder that I think he hurt before, and I think that's where a lot of people were kind of like a little iffy with it.
For sure. Offensively, I think the game plan is protecting Joe Burrow, especially from this pass rush. We talk about the guys that they have over there. One of the guys that you got to watch out for on the low is Wise. He kind of plays a little bit of the edge in that 3-4. He's got 7 sacks on the season. We kind of have already talked about the other guys. Uche as well as what's the other dude's name? The best one that they have over there, used to play for the Ravens, Matt Judon. He's just taken steps the last couple of years. He seems to be fitting into that Patriot system. But even though you don't want to drop back, I feel like you have to, just given the fact that some of those guys in the secondary are going to be out. There may be some communication issues, but I also feel like you need to run the ball. This is a defense that isn't amazing against the run. They rank in the mid-20s against the run. So I think that there will be opportunities there. I think pretty much use your guys. Go to the Migos when you can. Limit turnovers. Definitely be sure to try to keep those guys away from Joe Burrow. And I think if you do that, you should be good. Then what is your game plan for the offense?
The number one thing that the Patriots do better than any team in the National Football League is score points with their defense. They're the highest ranking, I believe, team in the NFL as far as points off of turnovers. The game plan for me is similar to what we did towards the end of the year, even like the Broncos game you could point out, where you're coming with a more conservative game plan. I think it's different this time around, though, because you do have more weapons and you do feel more confident with Joe Burrow. So you do take the wheels off a little bit. But if you're on your side of the field, you want to make sure, especially early in games, what is the head catalyst that has lost the Bengals games? It's early turnovers by edge rushers and then a team that can run the football. Cowboys in the Browns game stand out to me a lot, where you're talking about early stuff happening that kind of put us behind the 8 ball. And then if the score is close enough, then you're allowing the run game to take over. And the Patriots just had Stevenson just run for 175 yards last week. That's right. I said 175 yards. The number one thing that a lot of people were taking away, and I said this, I still think, for my money, I think the Bills might be more challenging if they have Von Miller, but I do believe in their front rotation a little bit more. But the numbers don't lie. The Patriots, on paper, on film, the combination of Wise, Judon, what's the dude? Uche, and then get this, you got Christian Balmer back too. Just so y'all know too, Wise, who you were just talking about, a total of 47 pressures, 4 quarterback hits, 7 sacks. These aren't household names, much like the Bengals, but they are at the top of the NFL as far as pressure. So anybody looking at the 7-7 record of the Patriots, you are sadly mistaken when it comes to their defense. Now, the secondary being super banged up is very key, though, because I think early in the game, the Bengals will lean on the fact that we're going to take our one-on-one matchups and be able to get the ball out as soon as we can. But the one thing you cannot do early in this game is drop back over and over again. They're used to stunts. Their way that they use Uche can be moved around anywhere, much like Parsons was. When you watch him on film and watch different games that he's played, just like the Raiders game I just watched last week, they move him every single way. Judon, but he has more of a tendency to be on the right-hand side. So, with that being said, La'el Collins is somebody that I'm really paying attention to. But early in this game, they have to do their due diligence by letting Wilcox maybe chip, go out, leak out on a route, all these different things, running back support. I'm more concerned with protection early in this game, at least until Burrow gets the game plan and says, hey, this is what I want to do to move forward in the next step. And if that means I'm taking the pedal off the gas a little bit in the first half, because I'm relying on my defense to be able to stop Zappy or Mac Jones whenever I want. And I just really feel like they were going to have it. So the offensive game plan kind of works hand in hand with the defensive game plan, playing the field position game, but don't put the ball in harm's way. The only way the Patriots can really win this game is getting turnovers off of their defense, which they are the best at in the National Football League.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely one of the keys on defense and offensively working with that is putting up the points. On defense, I think the key is taking advantage of this Patriots offensive line. Yes, Cole Strange has played a lot better. They do have a guy that you can take advantage of in Isaiah Wynn. I think Trey Hendrickson is definitely a key matchup in this game. I think the other guy is DJ Reader. I mean, talking about Stevenson and that run game that the Patriots like to lean on, he's going to be key to stopping that, because I feel like the key has been for all of these defenses, hey, let's keep Joe Burrow off the field by running the ball, right? So the Bengals defense, they have to stop the run And I think that they will do that. We've seen that with DJ Reader, Logan Wilson, and some of those guys. The other key is, I think, for the secondary, just making sure that they communicate and try to cash in on turnovers. I mean, if Mac Jones is the guy out there, he has been a guy that has thrown the ball to the defense. Take advantage of those opportunities, capitalize on them, especially on the road. The defense has always played well. Keep them from scoring. This isn't a team that really scores or converts on third down. Get off the field on third down, get the ball back to your offense, and cash in on turnovers. And I think if they do that, they should be fine in this game. The only thing that worries me is, are they prepared for Mac Jones or Zappe? That has been something that they've kind of had to fill out sometimes. Lou might have to fill that out in the first half. But once you fill that out and fill out what the strengths and weaknesses are, I think that they definitely should change that in the second half, as we always see Lou do. That's going to be paramount. Also, defensively. Like, this is a team that sometimes uses Marcus Jones on offense. If he's on offense, know where that guy is at anywhere, especially special teams. I know we don't really talk about the special teams game plan, but don't let Marcus Jones bust this game open, because that can definitely help their offense. Zim, what's your plan for the Patriots on defense?
I do think the run game has to be important. The one thing I did want to tell you about, and I could fact check that, I was trying to double check, but I believe Isaiah Wynn is on injured reserve though. The guy that they are starting it, they got Trent Brown at left tackle. The right tackle though is McDermott or Connor McDermott or something like that.
Okay.
But the offensive line itself, as a whole, I just think that we present a bigger problem to them than the opposite of what I just outlined for the Patriots. As good as their pass rush could be, I feel like the quick game of the Bengals getting the ball out and taking advantage of like backups, secondary guys, or whatever, is going to hurt them a lot, where they're going to have to allocate more people to the pass game. And then I think that opens up the run game. On our Bengals defense or whatever, I just think that Mac Jones, the one meme that they had with Patricia, different things that said, man, like, or like running guys off the field, and all the different turmoil that they've had is all predicated on the simpleness of their game plan, screens, and just basic stuff. As I say, every single time that we are going to see teams that we know that we're better than, look for trick plays, look for another trick play on specials. They might look at the Giovanni Bernard one and look at the coverage on that, and knowing Bill Belichick, he might say, I'm going to run that same thing and test them again. And then you're talking about a brand new long snapper too. So that's going to play a part in that thing. But look for the trick play. Look for different things. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a flea flicker or anything like that, because offensively, I think it's going to be tough sledding for them. I didn't feel the same way last week. I thought that the Buccaneers would have more success, and then I think what most Bengals fans thought. I was very surprised at how well they were able to run, and I think a big part of that was Sam Hubbard. If Trey Hendrickson is there and just doing what he does, one thing that doesn't get talked about him a lot is that he's gotten a lot better in run support. If he's there, I do like a stopping the run game to a certain extent. But the number one thing I always say, how do you stop a run game? Put points on the board. You put points on the board, I can take Stevenson out the game. If you keep the game close, defenses start to get tired, and then they bust one of those runs out. And one of my things is to give yourself a cushion, let the defense carry, play the field position, let Pratt and then playoff P like hit that type of ball. Von Bell, give me that ball, son. I don't know if y'all seen the Von Bell mic'd up. That's a top three mic'd up. That mic'd up was excellent. But those guys making plays, causing turnovers, I think bodes well and goes in our favor. You get a Bengals a 10-point lead. You keep the game close, put it in harm's way, and allow your defense to get tired. You could see a Stevenson run. I get his ankle is hurt or whatever, but I'm not banking on that. I'm projecting that this guy's gonna come out there running and ready to go, and they're in a playoff hunt. So they have a lot on the line, whereas the Bengals don't. If they lose the game, we're still looking pretty decent for our playoff chances or whatever. So you got to think the Patriots have their back against the wall at 7-7. They lose this game. I don't know the numbers, but they're pretty damn close to being out of the playoff hunt.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing that threw me off about them is you would think a lot of people talking about the running game. They actually run 11 personnel 78% of the time, 12 personnel 20% of the time. They run a little 22%, but it's barely there at 1%. Defensively, they run a lot of nickel. Obviously, they only really send 4 rushers, I believe 65% of the time. When it comes to their offense, it's more of a shotgun offense. So you would think it wouldn't be a drop back shotgun offense with Mac Jones, but it really is, which is very interesting about these guys.
Which is crazy because Tom and them with the play action and the under center runs and everything like that was killing the Bengals. And I felt like that was the first time where Lou in the first half, we didn't look like our normal selves, especially in run support.
They do like to run a lot of screens too, apparently. They called
a lot of
gang of screens. Let's talk about the prop bets. Over or under. We always using Joe Burrow to help the other quarterback out. Joe Burrow and Mac Jones, 4.5 combined total.
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the under on. I'm gonna go with 4 because I think Mac might be good for 1. I'm told it might be Zappy, bro. As a report come out,
I'm thinking it could be Zappy. Like for Bill not to really kind of commit that. So let's say it is Zappy, right? You're already behind the 8 ball here because it's like Joe Burrow's got to do it all by himself. So basically, you're saying is Joe Burrow gonna have 5 touchdowns? In this event, I'm gonna take the under because I don't know.
Football is so weird like that. Like, doesn't it seem like okay, the Patriots? But when you tell me about that secondary, I think 3 tutties from Joe. Like once you tell me to
get a 4th running it too, like it just says total touchdowns. So
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over. I think everybody's expecting this to be a 27-13 type of game. And even that is like 4 tuds. So if I go with the way that you're saying, then I'm gonna go with the over because I'm gonna just say now maybe it's 32-17 or something like that.
I'm taking the under because Mac Jones could go out there and throw an interception and Zappy's jumping off the bench. And I think Joe could get 3. 5 though, I don't know if I could go as far as 5. The next over under.
I definitely respect the defense. It's just very banged up.
2.5 sacks allowed versus New England. What are you thinking on this one?
I don't want to jinx my team, but judging off of last week, I hate to say this, bro. I feel like I don't like putting that in the atmosphere, but I'm gonna take the over.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over here on that one as well. I mean, these guys, I got to tip my hat off to them, man. I think this might be one of the best D-lines the Bengals play this year. For me, I think it's a lot of similarities with under-the-radar guys, like you kind of mentioned earlier, like the Danico Autry's when we ran into Tampa, and it was like, who are these guys? And they just come out of nowhere. Obviously, we know Judon. But the Uche guys, so I'm thinking 3. I'm thinking 3.
The one thing I was saying this earlier too, the profile of Judon, not Uche, but Judon is, I get he's got a boatload of sacks and stuff, but he does play a lot like pad level wise, size wise, and everything like Brian Burns and like Cameron Jordan, Max Crosby, like. Same size, same kind of bend, same style. Not to try to take anything away from it, but I just feel like that type of guy we have seen a lot. The guys that have really killed us have been like super freaking heroes, like Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt. Like
I'm not saying that he's in that level, but I think he's the tier right under that. I think he's
and that's Brian Burns.
Yeah.
I think Brian Burns looked like.
But I think Judon is really good. And I remember him in Baltimore, and I used to kind of like make fun of him. I used to be like, man, Judon can't get 10 sacks. But ever since he's gone to New England, they have just turned that dude into a monster.
It's all about the fit, man.
He has more sacks than Myles Garrett right now. I had to double look. It's crazy what they're doing over there in New England, for sure.
One thing, remember I was putting on the Jumbotron earlier, though. A lot of them sacks, though, and I do think that the Bengals staff will be able to coach them boys up for him. He has this – I've seen at least 4 of those sacks come on this stunt where he loops back inside, and once the guy thinks he's free, and then they get connected to a new defense alignment. And this is Christian Barmore coming back, who I loved in the draft. But Barmore kind of helps with this, too, and Wise. But then once you get connected to this new guy, Then here comes Judon looping back around. They said the average amount of time to a sack, I think, is like 5 seconds, because a lot of it is like these delayed manufacture, like intricate things ready to get the sack. So it's not like he's just blowing by his guy like a Uche. When you look at his sacks, it's just like speed rusher, blowing past guys, like doing his stuff. So it's a lot. It's a lot to kind of unpack. And I just think that early in the game, get the ball out quick. I know we're worried about the tip passes or whatever, but I do think that it could be. I do think ultimately, though, I think I'm going to take the over. But it's one of them things, though, man. We have seen guys like him.
I'm going to have to check, bro. I think I might have a Josh Uche. Like, remember, I collect the football card. I think I might have his autographed rookie card. That might be worth some money right now. So I'm going to check that out. And I'm going to take it, and I might
go to Michigan. What college did he go to?
The Bengals rushing yard. He did go to Michigan. The Bengals rushing yards. Who do you expect to have more rushing yards, Pats or Bengals? I'm going Bengals here, bro. I think the Bengals are going to take advantage of that Patriots run defense. I think that's how they're going to try to attack them, with a balanced attack. And I just have more faith in DJ Reader stopping a guy like Stevenson. No shade against him, but this is a defense that's killed Nick Chubb. They've killed Derrick Henry. You know, I'm just saying, like, that's kind of what DJ does, and DJ's taking it personal. This Pro Bowl snub and all of that. Yeah. Nah, I don't think you're running on DJ Reader.
I'm mixed, man. I feel like one of the best run defenders we have on this team, if not the best, is Sam Hubbard. Like, DJ Reader is the best nose, right? But Sam not being there is a big part, and it showed up a lot earlier in that game. I will say I'm going to go Bengals for more rushing yards, because I think it kind of goes like how it's been going, where Bengals get a lead, and then on that last drive or so, it's P-Ron and Mixon just burying dudes, just running through them, holding the ball. But throughout the game, I think that the Bengals can stop the Patriots run game. If Stevenson's ankle isn't 100% and even miss any bit of practice, I just don't think that's a good idea. I mean, that I'm going to take the Mixon. I'm going to take the Bengals side on that one. I think that the Bengals are going to have a lot more success throwing the ball than what people are probably thinking. Because I even see somebody in the comments say, man, what their defense is for real. Yeah, I would think, but the whole entire secondary is out, and Joe Burrow's going to take advantage of that. Joe Burrow's not letting that slide, like, at all. So if it's just quick hits to Jamar Chase, can you imagine how that looks to, like, a rookie corner, like, potentially that's got to make that tackle? Like, that's a tough, tall task. And I think that they're going to throw, you know, consistently, and maybe it might look a little bad up front. We don't know. I don't know. I hope they get off to a good start, but I'm going to go over.
That's going to bring us to our Fan Cave Pro winning ways, powered by them. Fan Cave Pro is a place to design and create the fan cave of your dream. Log on to fancavepro.com to book your free consultation. I think if we're talking about what would have happened Sunday for the Bengals to win this game, I think it really involves limiting turnovers, scoring points. I don't think that this team can score. This is another team that I feel like can't keep up with the Bengals. I think the first that gets to 27 to 30 points wins in this game. Protect Burrow, keep him clean, play balance, and convert some of those turnovers if you get them on defense. The turnover differential is always going to go in your favor if you win that one. Those will be the keys for me. Zen, what are the winning ways for you?
Being able to stop the pass rush early in the game, no turnovers, is the only way that they can beat you. The only way that this team can beat you is if the Bengals turn the ball over. If it's a straight up mano-a-mano type of fight, you know how this go. The better quarterback always wins. So that's the key to the game, is no turnovers or less turnovers, or however you want to say it. But that's literally the only way I can see the Patriots winning this game, is turnovers, getting themselves momentum, getting the ball on our side of the field, that type of stuff. If the Patriots haven't seen our defense recently or whatever, you cannot go over overall season stat. DJ Reader missed 6 games, and once he has come back, he has been on a tear. Is the best nose tackle in football.
For sure. I think DJ Reader and this defense is going to cook. And speaking of cooking, let's toss it to our friends at Midwest Best Barbecue.
Keep us up on that Bengals news. And when
Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue 669 Justice Court over in Loveland, Ohio. Definitely be sure to stop by and get some Uno wings. Tell them that Ace and Zim sent you. Get some of that brisket. I think they also have, for those that are going through the cold winters, the brisket soup. My dad loves it. He definitely stops in by Midwest Best Barbecue to grab some of that. So check that out. Hit them up. You can also book your order online, MidwestBestBarbecue.com. Check them out today. Well, actually, tomorrow. It's too late today. But if you're listening to this, it might be time. So swing on by Midwest Best Barbecue. Let's talk about the most iconic play in Bengals history. Zim, what do you have for the most iconic play in Bengals history?
We talked about this, or me and Ryan talked about this for a good amount of time earlier today, and it's crazy. But most of the memories that I have from the Bengals that I feel like are iconic, like the Jerome Simpson flip, like the Andy Dalton throw on Tyler Boyd, those are all like they don't really mean that much to me, like as far as like what was accomplished. The AJ Green throw in the Falcons game, AJ Green, the catch at the game when the Falcons won, the best, like bro, like the Tyler Eifert and the seams on the Seahawks game. These are all like meaningless games. This might be like a bad, like people aren't gonna like this. But, like most of my memories are players at certain moments. So like Ocho Cinco on a weekly basis, or the guarantee, and all these different things that help create like more positivity, more like things to say, hey, look, we believe in this team, and I like the flamboyant style, all these different things. The number one iconic moment for me is Carson Palmer's knee. And the reason why I say is that it's not a great memory, but it gives us like lessons every single time that I think about like what could happen to a season, what could happen to your franchise, what could happen and it's a reminder that nothing is promised. We talk about like, hey, this team is going to go all the way, and not the Bengals. Like somebody tells me, like, remember when the Josh Allen elbow news hit, and suddenly it's like the reality sets in that's why you got to play the game. That's the reason why it got to go this way. It's also the reason why a Ravens fan can't tell me nothing about no injuries. Like, you ain't never had a team that was favored to probably go all the way, and then at a blink of an eye have a whole entire fan base sitting at home like crying, like, like I'm a young kid, like sitting there thinking like, what is going on? And from that moment, it also teaches us lessons about injuries. It tells us about like, hey, the next man up got to be ready to go. Not just next man up, the next man's got to step up. And it's just one of those things that gives me a fuel to my fire that's a little different than maybe an average fan. I do this every single day of my life on the strength of I need to make this. I need people to know that this happened to the Cincinnati Bengals. When they try to group us up with the Browns, they try to group us up with whatever. Like, no, pump your brakes. The Bengals from 2005 to 2015 had 7 out of 10 playoffs, things. And you had Carson Palmer, who was the highest paid quarterback. You had Wincinnati. You had all these great figures that are trying to get swept under the rug by society in the sports people right now, all because of one thing doesn't go your way. And they lean on that to try to justify, oh, yeah, the Bengals, they're cheap, or they haven't done this or that. What if I told you something tragic happened and nobody ever talks about it? One team ran through the AFC North, and then they go to the first playoff game, and the guy's leading the league in touchdowns, going to a Pro Bowl, and all these different things, and he gets his knee snapped on the first damn drive. That is an iconic throw to Chris Henry, rest in peace, more tragedy, right? But it's just the untold story, and I know some people don't like hearing it, but it's the reality of being a Bengals fan that makes it so much more special, so much more different than all these other front-running fan bases. It's the very reason why I wake up and I'll be like, bro, I got to go hard. Carson Palmer's knee, it is what it is. Like, it's very unfortunate, but like, that's a team that should be talked about, the same way we think about Kenyon Martin breaking his leg, the Bearcats that year. That's a team in history that should be magnified and glorified and all these different things, but it isn't, and they use it as a argument against the Bengals. And I don't care, and I'll die saying that this team was really, really good. I like their chances to go to win a Super Bowl, and it was swept right under you. And it's a reminder that nothing in life is ever promised. And I'm going to continue to keep on talking about Houday. And every single day of my life, I'm going to let everybody know about that injury. I didn't like the hit. I thought it was dirty. I'm going to continue to tell them about the Steelers because I think the organization as a whole is dirty, and they applaud that type of stuff. And I'm going to keep on going saying the same exact thing, and I'm going to get a championship, and I'm still going to talk about how I could have had another one on that season. But that's my most – it's not a sexy one, but – I'm sorry
my Bengals immaculate reception for me is Jermaine Pratt, his reception of Derek Carr in that playoff game where the Bengals pretty much put to bed the quote-unquote curse. And for me, the thing that was iconic is this curse and this whole playoff drought started based off of the Bo Jackson curse, right? What team did Bo Jackson play for? The Raiders. For this to come down to the end of the game, fourth down, Jermaine Pratt to make this play, being there, watching everybody go crazy afterwards. The one thing that I don't think gets talked about, and I said this to Zim and Ryan earlier, is Eli Apple's actually the guy that's behind the tight end on that play that allows Jermaine Pratt to jump in front of him and intercept the ball. And for me, it just was a full circle moment for this team is different. Like, how many times have we watched this team, whether it was in Pittsburgh in 2015 in this same situation, that team folded at the end or something happened that didn't go your way? This was something that was the changing of the guard for me, and I think that is going to be iconic. And a lot of people that are even outside of Houday Nation, all they would talk about is no matter what we did, the Bengals never won a playoff game. You haven't won a playoff game since Ice Ice Baby came out. You haven't won a playoff game in 31 years. This ended that, right? The narrative started to change, I feel like, for sure, after this happened, because the Bengals, they were playing well, but this is what I think kind of sparked it and kind of changed that narrative that this isn't your grandpa's Bengals. This is a new day. This is a new, standard, especially with Joe coming out and saying that. And for it to end that way, I think just really was the changing of the guard for this team and moving forward. And I mean, to see Zach and his smile after that, like, I've done it. Like, everybody expected it to be Marvin Lewis. Who would have told you back in 2005 that it wouldn't be Marvin Lewis that delivered this to us? It would be this guy that we don't know named Zach Taylor writing his own story in Bengals history. So I love this one because it just really cemented what the Bengals history was and, like, breaking the curse. Like, a lot of people were like, oh, the curse is over. And for what team for it to happen against other than the Raiders, I think just made it even more iconic from that standpoint. I see some people talking about the Thursday night football game already going on. Let's get into it. I'm not sure what the score is. If you can let us know, I hope it's not something bad.
I thought you were talking about somebody was talking about that 3rd and 27. Don't you feel like the biggest moments, though? I noticed, like, this is one thing I think that ops do tell us. They be like, y'all act like y'all just got good. And that's not true. But I will tell you, like, Joe Burrow has given us, like, 10 iconic moments already, bro. Like, sure. I know that's like the 4th down stop in the Titans game, the 3rd and 27 last year, the Titans back shoulder throw on Jack Rabbit Jenkins. You got so many. The 49ers, them 2 4th down, them throws.
Corvette. It's a lot of
them Joe Burrow 4th down throws in the back of the end zone on the 49ers, and then the pocket shot that he throws. Those are crazy throws and crazy moments where people say, yeah, that's luck, because those aren't throws that happen every single day. And he gave us that in one season.
The run against Chris Jones. I mean, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them that are out there for sure. As far as the Jaguars and Jets tonight, I think the Jags are going to get this one. I know that Jets defense is tough, but the way that Trevor Lawrence is, I think, playing right now, he's just in another universe. Like, I don't think him and Zach Wilson are in the same universe whatsoever. I'm not a Zach Wilson fan. I've never
25.
been one. Never. I thought he was honestly Baker Mayfield 2.0. So for me, I think the Jaguars are going to come out here and get a win on Prime. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Jets win, or do you think that the Jags take this one?
I think the Jags win. They're playing a lot better. Trevor Lawrence over the last 6-7 weeks is like the hottest quarterback in football. I think Bro's got like 14 touchdowns, 1 pick at the time that we're recording this. So he's like the hottest quarterback in football. I think it started, even remember that fourth quarter on that Ravens game. So, But the Jets defense is crazy. Sauce can lock up with whatever. I'm gonna still go with the better quarterback. I think
some people sleep on that Jags defense. That Jags defense is not bad. Like they're not as good as the Jets, but they're not like a slouch either.
That's true. Yeah. Let me ask you, who would you rather play in the playoffs, Jags or Jets?
Zach Wilson started? Yeah, give me the Jets.
Give me Jets too.
For sure.
The funniest thing is after we beat the Jets and they were talking and they were coping, like hard, and they were in there like, man, I mean, we could have done this. I'm like, listen here, bro. T. Higgins had 100 on you like in a quarter, bro. Like, what are you talking? Like, bro, we was about to go to work or like we cruise controlled in the full quarter of that game, and I thought their defense was playing well then. Like, so I don't know.
For sure. Another game that has some implications within the division, Falcons versus Ravens. Lamar Jackson isn't going to be out. All right, he's not going to be in. So he's.
I'm about to say, huh? What you say?
He's going to be out this game. For me, I hate that this is the matchup because the Falcons are so one-dimensional, and what they like to do offensively, the Ravens are good at stopping it. So that's the only thing that worries me in this game is them running right into Roquan Smith and all of that with that run game that they have in Atlanta. So for me, as much as I would love for them to be able to beat the Ravens, I think that the Ravens are going to win this one, especially with that rookie quarterback going against that defense. Unfortunately, I just think that this is going to be another squeaker that the Ravens pull out. What are your thoughts? I think you think Atlanta can win this one, right?
100% they can win. It just comes down to this is the thing. The Falcons aren't a great team. Is AJ Terrell playing?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
I feel like they could take their best corner and put him on Andrews and say, all right, yeah, it's nighty night. Like, I don't care about your wide receivers. Like, I don't care about that. And then you're gonna run the football. Sure, you could run. But the one thing the Ravens don't do, they haven't done recently in the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks or so, they haven't scored. And if you can't score on a team that can run as efficient as the Falcons, think about how the Browns did them at the end of that game. They just ran. Like, by that time, the defense is done. Like I always say, if you want to stop a good running team, put points on the board. If you're not scoring like how the Ravens haven't been, I'm telling y'all, our perception of the Falcons is very different than a lot of other teams. The Falcons, even when they played the Bucs and they was down, they ran like crazy on them dudes, and they're gonna run. The Algier and Cordell Patterson, the way that they're gonna scheme it up is something totally different than the AFC North is generally seeing from a run blocking standpoint. If that game is close and them dudes start to get tired or whatever, and then you talking about like giving up, like. Whoa, I'm telling you, they have the ability, if it's close, to run. Now, if they get a lead, yeah, they're cooked. I'm going to take the Desmond Ridder thing at the end of the game, too. Desmond Ridder made some throws at the end of that game. Drake London fumbled that ball when it was time for Ridder to go cook. He was driving down the field. Drake London fumbled the ball when they were about to get into scoring position. I will say that I'm not a Desmond Ridder, like, big time, whatever. I think ultimately, like, later on he'll be fine. But, I don't know, man. I just don't believe in the Ravens scoring points. And if it's a close game, I think the Falcons are going to run all over them. I know that they're a real good run defense, but that's when, like, a lot of them games they had a lead. You don't got a lead, a team like the Falcons going to run, and they're going to hit.
The other two games, we got Seahawks, Chiefs, and Bills versus Bears. I'm praying that the Seahawks can win this game. They've been on a little skid. I saw Tyler Lockett get hurt. I was upset about that because that is a major person that can help our purpose. This game is in Kansas City as well. I'm going to give the Seahawks a chance here. I think Geno Smith making the Pro Bowl, He's got to make a statement. They've got to get back into this wild card race. They can't do it without winning this game. I'm going to hope that the Chiefs end up dropping this one. But realistically, I don't know.
I don't see it.
I don't know.
I'm with you. I think that there's a hot take. I think Chiefs win this game, but I think the Chiefs lose one of them other two games, that Broncos game or that Raiders game. They're going to lose one of them, but it's not going to be the Seahawks.
Bills, Bears. I think the Bears, bruh. The Bears are a little scrappy. Like, you can't just whoop the Bears like that. And this is going to be a game where, the weather might play something here. Like, look, man, Justin Fields is balling right now. Like, I wouldn't go in there just saying, like, this is giving me very similar vibes to, like, the Bills and the Lions when they played. Like, the Bills should just mop the floor with the Lions. That's not what happened in the game. It was a close, scrappy game.
Lions got way more firepower, though. Like, I don't know.
The Bears too. Like, the Bears
got probably the worst wide receiver in football, bro.
They just went toe-to-toe with the Eagles. I think that this is going to be a sneaky close game.
You can't run on the Bills.
I think the Bills pull it out, but I think it's a lot closer than people think it's going to really be just because of Justin Fields. He hasn't learned how to win yet, but he has learned how to become like this unstoppable force, similar to what we saw Lamar Jackson be a couple years ago. He looks like he's on that trajectory. But yeah, I got the Bills pulling it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if we sitting here talking about, hey, how did the Bears do that? Like, it wouldn't shock me. What are your thoughts on?
I'm gonna go Bills on this one, but another hot take. I got Bills taking the L next week to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that is gonna end our show for today. We're gonna do a recap on Tuesday on Wincinnati Podcast. You can catch us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. If you are listening to us in the Apple Store or on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, which are Stitcher, Google Podcasts, all of that, you can find us under the Wincinnati Podcast. We also are a network as well, so we have other shows within the network that you can catch as well, with the Bengals Pulse with Jake and mine. You can also catch the 513 with our man Eric. But appreciate you guys for listening in. And Zim, was there anything else that you wanted to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, Sirski.
Yes, Sirski. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Wincinnati, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Time to be a Bengals
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
Need your top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time, man.
Yeah.
Shock the world.